Welcome to the Rad Conversations podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Rad Conversations. This week we have Jolene back with us again, and she is a death doula, a medium, and intuitive healer whose abilities awakened later in life. And we have a very grounded, honest conversation about grief, gifts, and boundaries, and what it really means to live between worlds. All that and more coming up on this episode of Rad Conversations. And remember, if you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and share. All right, let's dive in. So, Jolene, how can people get a hold of you?
You can go on my website, www.soulexpansionguidance.com.
What can they find on your website?
You can find all my services and the prices, and there's a link on there where you can email me and ask any questions. It doesn't mean that you have to purchase. You can just ask questions about my services, and then I can respond to you, and we can go from there.
Who do you feel like has taken you the farthest on your journey? As far as like waking you up to your gifts or just helping you on your path?
I would say probably my friend Alec, the one who coached. He does coaching for helping people come into their gifting. And I would say on the other aspect, it's people from the other side, kind of coming towards me and visiting me, to one of them being my mom and my husband, to kind of make me see that this is real and it's not something to be afraid of. So that kind of I needed that to push me to even seek more. Yeah.
So and that was around the age of 40 when you really started to give into all your abilities?
Yeah, and I was having those experiences probably 3-4 years prior. Like my first experience was with my husband after he passed, like a week after he passed. And I'm laying in bed and he comes. He used to do this thing every night where he would cover my feet with the blanket, because I would have the blanket on, I'd kick it off. I'd be hot, I'd be cold. So when my feet were uncovered, he'd cover me up. Well, his spirit did that. I could see his body and everything, and he just covered me up.
Oh, wow.
So I would have these experiences with him and crazy dreams, and where he was sharing stuff with me, and it was a lot. It was a lot.
Did he have the same personality he had down here?
In when I connect with him?
Yes, when you connect with him.
Yes, yeah.
And when he first approached you a week after his death, did that really freak you out? Or
No.
You were open to it and you were fine with it?
I was open to it and I was fine with it, because it felt like a very loving energy.
And how often does he come by?
He doesn't
Is
come
he
around.
there every time you want him to be there?
Yeah, if I want to connect with him, he will. Not as much as he used to, because it's now been 11 years. I think when I was first going through it, and then he did pull back, and then another friend of mine who was a medium said that he communicated with her. He pulled back because it was not helping me on my grieving process. So he had to pull back a little bit at some point, because I wasn't moving on and I wasn't healing. So
does he visit your son at all?
Yes. My son sees him, and he sees his energy as, he says, cyan. It's like a light blue. My mom also, same auric color. And he feels love when they come around. He just feels love, like they're watching over him.
And when your mom comes around, what kind of things does she help you with?
I mean, she just really comes around when it's like her birthday or her death anniversary, things like that, just to kind of say, hey, I'm still here watching over you. At one point, I do think she was one of my guides, showing up differently. It was really weird when she first came around, because all I could do was smell chemo, and she had been on chemo. I went into my car. It was her birthday, I think, and I could just smell chemo in my car, and I'm like, why am I smelling chemo? And then I realized what day it was, and I was like, okay, Mom. And eventually, because she would just come around smelling like that, I said, Mom, can you change your smell? Because I understand why you did that, so I knew it was you. Now I know it's you. Can you change your smell? So now it smells kind of like glazed donuts or vanilla cake when she comes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating that you could ask to change the smell. That's fantastic. Yeah. About a month ago, I was on... we have a property here in the area that 7 generations have lived on. And my grandfather was born and raised and died nearby, and I was out mowing the back 40 or whatever, and I could smell my grandfather out of nowhere. I could smell his musk, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. And they gave me their car after they went to a nursing home. They couldn't drive. My grandfather drove up to 100, but they gave me the car to drive. And every so often, the passenger seatbelt light will go off, like somebody's sitting there when there's nobody there. So I love it every time it happens. I just start having conversations with both my grandparents. So you have your husband and your mother. Anybody else comes to you regularly?
My niece will come around and she'll say, hey, I just want you to know I'm still around, and let everyone know to think of me as happy. Just think of me as happy. So she comes around. One of my best friends growing up in high school passed away around the time my son was, a little bit after my son was born. And so she'll come through sometimes. I was really surprised. It's usually for her, when she first passed away, I would kind of see her kind of walk by. And then like mediums, like I said, I do have a lot of friends in the spiritual groups, and they'll be like, we're going to do readings on Facebook. You want us to read you? I'm like, sure. And then she would come through and just give me messages. Usually with her or my niece, it's more like about how to grieve and how much we mean to them, and, that kind of thing. Whereas I feel like my husband, he does come in and kind of help me with the work I do. So in a way, I feel like he's working with me on the other side.
So if you have a question, then he'll help you answer it. Or if someone comes to you with some questions, then he'll help you with the process.
Well, I'll give you an example. There's a group, I was admin in a spiritual group, and we had someone who was doing mediumship readings on the people in the chat, and she did one on me. And he came through and he starts showing her all these visions. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then she's telling me, he's telling you not to be in a certain unhealthy relationship. And I'm like, well, I'm not. The more that she was reading him, she was realizing the message was for her. She said, I'm going to talk to you outside of this chat. And we had some private DMs, and he was showing her our relationship and how a balanced, healthy relationship was compared to what she was experiencing. And she was in an abusive situation. And he was kind of helping her to get to have the understanding on, it's time for you to leave. And so she realized that message was for her. And here I am, the conduit of him doing work.
Oh, wow.
Too. So, yeah.
When you go to a concert or a stadium or a supermarket and you're walking through the aisles, are you reading everybody? Are you getting a sense? No.
I mean,
you can turn it off and on, or
I can, but I try to really be grounded and not. I don't want to be one of those people that are like, do you have a passed on loved one that smells like Old Spice and died in 1969? Like, I don't want to live my life like that. So I choose to kind of cut that off a little bit when I'm in public. It can be hard. There are some times where those things do still happen. Like I'll be at the restaurant and there's a waiter and I could tell there's like a heart issue with them or something like that. And I get this ethical dilemma. Do I stop and tell him, hey, you need to get your heart checked out, right? So I'll have those.
And how does that come across?
I try not to.
How does the heart issue come across?
Sometimes I feel it in my own body.
Oh, wow.
And I'll just feel this anxiousness or just heaviness in the chest. Like I can tell it's not mine, but I kind of feel it at the same time, if that makes sense.
And the times you've mentioned this to people, have they been open to receiving the message, or they just kind of look at you like you're crazy?
I mostly don't do it with strangers, but sometimes if I have, they do kind of look at me like, okay. But I just give them, I have to really feel it strongly to give it to a stranger, because I feel that it's a little invasion of their life in a way.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like, I should have said something, or you just kind of process it and go?
Yeah. I mean, there's sometimes I've regretted not saying something.
That's a hell of a burden to carry.
And sometimes I don't even realize what it is. Like, for instance, actually, there was a recent thing that happened where a person that I know was hanging out with me and my stomach was really bothering me. And I thought I was interpreting it as maybe I shouldn't be around this person. Their energy is a little too much or something like that. And like within, it probably was a week later, he started to have stomach pain so bad that he went to the hospital. He was having an intestinal leakage, and it turned out there was a cancerous tumor behind that leakage that was pushing on those intestines. I just didn't understand what it was. I just am feeling this energy, and I didn't really tap into it like I should have. But he did end up going and getting help and surgery and all that stuff. But when he
What a
told
fantastic
me,
superpower you have.
when he told me, I said, "You need to go to the hospital. Go to the hospital." As soon as he told me he was having symptoms, I knew then you need to go to the hospital.
And does it ever come across like you have an upset stomach?
Yes.
Or you know there's a difference? So sometimes you think it's your body actually.
Yeah, I was having the physical symptoms in my body, but I felt it was his energy.
Okay.
And so I thought it was, wow. I didn't think it was actual physical an issue. I thought it was maybe his energy wasn't right or aligned with me or something like that. Because that happens too sometimes. Yeah.
Jolene, these messages, if you just turn it on, could you just turn on the health messages? Aren't we all just kind of falling apart? Would your just beacon be going off nonstop?
I have my own.
Like everybody's got something wrong, right?
But see, and again, like I said, the closer you are to a person, the more you pick up on. So I don't have as many. I mean, I can if I choose to connect with strangers. I don't want to live my life like that. So I keep myself kind of guarded and protected in that way because, yeah.
Is it just draining? I mean, just emotionally and physically draining to just keep putting yourself out there like that?
It can be if you don't do the proper things to protect your energy and clear your energy.
So when you're doing an hour-long session with somebody, do you get energized or do you get drained after the hour-long session?
Sometimes it is energetically exhilarating, and sometimes it can be draining. It depends on the work that's being done. So sometimes someone has a really heavy shadow that they're working on. That can be very draining. Sometimes we're having an exciting experience and they were Cleopatra in a past life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to use that as an example. And so it's fun. Always, it's good to then detach your energy from that person after they leave and then kind of do your rituals of clearing your energy so that you're not attached still. Because it is attaching to anyone's energy, whether it's good or positive or negative, it can be draining, you know?
Last question. I swear to you, it's the last question. When you're doing the past lives, what's the most interesting past life you've come across so far?
I don't know. I wouldn't say this is interesting, but it scared me. I was doing a consecutive heal. Like this woman came to me for healing some things in her, some traumas. And I do guided meditations as well. And we did a guided meditation and she kind of regressed back into a past life where she was a witch that was being burnt at the stake or something. And so she's like really freaking out and I'm trying to pull her back. It was hard to get her back out of that state. So that was kind of an interesting experience, but it was also like a very important experience because it was something she really needed to heal. So that's just one example. I've had connected with other people that are just beautiful beings of light, you know, that are ancient souls. And so I've seen some of those lifetimes that have been just beautiful. I can't, I just,
not question
they're all beautiful. They're all beautiful. They're all exciting.
Right. And I said that was the last question. I swear this is the last half question. But so when you're doing talking about past lives,
yes,
are you talk about like a light being,
yeah,
and you describe this to the person, and do you ever have a thing like, oh my God, this is amazing, and yet the person's just like, whatever. Is anything else? And do you ever have that disconnect? Like, you think it's amazing what you've gotten to with this person, and they're just not that impressed with what you brought up, and they want something different?
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody wants to be a king or queen, correct?
Everyone does, yes. Everyone wants to be a king or queen. I haven't met anybody where I've had a past life where it has some significance because, again, like I said, it's something that you're, even if it's just an archetype, right? Let's say shaman, you were a shaman in a past life. It's an archetype. It is a gifting. It is something maybe that you need to embrace or learn about. And so that's why it's coming through. And I've never had a reading where someone is like, in this past life, you're a janitor, because what are you going to learn? That's not something that is here to teach you. Well, maybe it did, but
Right. And hey, that's what I think about a lot too, that later on in my existence, I come back to this life. What am I doing in this lifetime that 20 reincarnations from now that it's going to draw me back to? And probably nothing. But that's part of this journey for whatever reason.
It might be like, well, at one point you were a podcaster, because at one point I had someone read me and they said you were in charge of these music festivals, and I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. I am musical. I do sing. I do, but yeah, I mean, it's not in the history.
I have this fantasy.
Books.
I have this fantasy about working at a tire shop. And obviously I could go out and get that job tomorrow. But I for the last 20 years, I've always fantasized, I could be working at a tire shop, right? And I don't know why I'm drawn to a tire shop so much, but I'm drawn to a tire shop. So I feel like maybe in a past life or
Probably
multiverse or something's going on that's going on. Thanks for watching the show today, folks. And if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share. And like always, stay rad.